Today we're going to be making a business card holder. This is going to be a 3D printable design that you can essentially make on your own. The first constraints that we're going to have is the business card itself. Most business cards run at about 3.5 by 2 inches. So that's what we're going to use for this video. The first thing that we're going to do is open up a new part and set our variables. And these are going to be essentially the variables from the drawing that we just looked at. So the width is going to be 3.5, and the height is going to be 2 inches. And we're going to set up these variables and then essentially you can follow along in the video. And if, say, your business cards aren't 3.5 by 2 inches, then you can still do it pretty much the same exact thing. It, and just type in a different number over on these variables. All you have to do is double click this and put in a new number in there. So, and that should make things easier for you if you want to make something different. Uh, you could even do this for, like, say, index cards or something of that sort and put in the dimensions of that. The first thing that we're going to do is start building this. And normally I like to build things kind of like how it's going to be made. So we'll start with the base. So we're going to start with our sketch up at the top left-hand corner and click on our top plane. We're going to right click and view normal to sketch plane down at the bottom. Let's start out with a center point rectangle. And we're going to set our width. And we want this to pretty much look like the assembly that we started with. So we'll start with our width dimension or width variable. But we need to add a few things to this. So let's add uh, the sides of the business card holder. And everything on this is going to be have an eighth of an inch thickness. So each side will be an eighth of an inch. So we'll add a quarter of an inch. And since we're using the variables, you need to put in uh, the inch designation for this. And then we also had a little bit going out on the sides. So let's add another zero point 0.5 inches for that. That'll give us a quarter of an inch on each side that's kind of sticking out. Let's press enter. Then let's go over to our width dimension or height dimension. We'll do the hashtag height on this one, and then we'll just add the 0.25 for that to give our material. Let's press OK, and then we're going to sketch. We're going to do an extrude and do our eighth of an inch for thickness on that. We can press the check mark. And then this is going to be made kind of at an angle, so I don't want to start another sketch on top of that. Instead, we're going to do a sketch on the right plane instead, and that'll make it easier to capture that angle that we're going to do to show off our business cards. So let's do a sketch, right click, view normal to sketch plane. And we're going to start out making kind of our general shape that we want. And let's connect it all. So then we get that little gray area right there so we can extrude. And then we're going to apply a few constraints to this. So I want this side and this side to be parallel. So let's go up to our constraints, click parallel, make this guy parallel with that guy. Then this is going to have to connect to our base. So let's do a coincident and put that point and this point. It's going to be the corner of our rectangle or corner of our base. We're going to do the same thing over here. Let's see, this line isn't even vertical. That point, that'll make that touching. So and then it'll add this to the base rather than being a whole another object. Uh, and we still have these blue lines, so we need to still add some dimensions. Let's define our angle that we want this at. Oh, uh-oh. Let's do Control Z to undo that. Let's go to our dimension up here. We're going to mention from here to here. We're going to create an angle of just 60 degrees. So we're pretty close right there. And then this dimension, I want to be 2 inches. And then this dimension, I want to be 1 inch. So technically, we could use the width or the height dimension on this instead. Let's do hashtag and do the height. That'll still be 2 inches, but just in case you want to change this later on, then you can do that. And that should be it for that. So everything turned black, so, which means everything's constrained. So let's press OK for that. And then we're going to extrude this. And we want this to be symmetric and go in both directions, since this is in the midpoint. And we're going to need to use our width dimension right here. Let's do the hashtag width. And then we're going to want to add both sides. So it's going to be 1/8 of an inch on each side. That gives us 0.25 total. And then let's add our tolerance to that as well and give it 1/16 of an inch for tolerance. So this isn't hugging your business cards too much. Press enter. That's about what we want. Let's press OK. And instead of trying to cut into this cavity, let's do a shell. And click on the top face. And that pretty much gives us what we want right there. But for the thickness, we're going to want that to be 1/8 of an inch. So that's what we put on pretty much everything that we're doing here. Let's press OK. And we want to show off our business card. So this lip right here kind of looks like it's in the way. So let's click on the front of our base and click Sketch. Right click and view normal to sketch plane. And here we're going to do a corner rectangle. So we want the first corner to be at the top of our base. And then it won't let us click on the top of this because it's not in the same plane. So let's just click out into space. But we can constrain it to this part right here. So constrain it to this edge. And then we are going to dimension and dimension it to the inside of your business card holder. And that'll allow us to dimension essentially the border of your business card, right? So the business cards that I have here are 1/8 of an inch for a border. So we'll type that in, and that makes it to where you're not covering up any words or anything like that that people might want to see. Okay, now we're going to press OK. Click on our rectangle we just made, extrude, and we're going to remove that. And we only want this to affect the front and not the back, so the business cards can essentially sit on a surface back there. So that's going to be good enough. Press OK. And some of the edges on here are a little jagged, so let's just add a few fillets. No, doesn't look like it likes that one. Let's take that off. And maybe click on this and this. And that is essentially your business card holder. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. I will put this file in the description of the video. Thank you. Have a nice day.